Hello everyone, welcome to ThinkComputer YouTube channel. In this video, I will explain problem solving using algorithm and flowchart. I had already created a video on this topic, but that is specifically made for class 8 students. This is a general video which is for everyone. So what is an algorithm? We can say step-by-step solution of any given problem is called an algorithm. If you have a problem and you want to write down the steps to solve that problem, then you are writing an algorithm. Why do we write an algorithm? Well, it helps to explain the solution in a finite number of steps. It is independent of any programming language. Therefore, a person writing the algorithm can use it to explain the logic of the solution to a programmer using any language such as C, C++, Python, Java, etc. Let us see some examples. How can we write algorithms? So the first example which I am having, it is an algorithm to find the sum of two numbers. As you can see, when we are writing algorithm, we write steps. So we have to give step numbering, step 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. The first step is start and the last step is stop. Sometimes we write begin and end in place of start and stop. Second step is usually taking input. So we can write input two numbers, we can write accept two numbers or enter two numbers, and then we specify variable name. In this case, I have taken A and B. So I am taking input two numbers in A and B. Then I am writing calculate because it is a calculation step where we are finding the sum by adding A and B. Then I have written the formula. Okay. Then next step is print sum. You can write display sum or you can write show sum. So that can change. Step 5 is stop. So this is an easy algorithm. The next one is about accepting any number and check if it is even or odd. So in this algorithm, I am explaining how we can use conditions in algorithm. So as you can see, the step number 1 and step number 6 both are same as before, start and stop. Step 2 is accepting a number. That's okay. In the step 3, we have to focus because here we have a condition. This is how we write condition in algorithm. We write if and we write a condition like this. Well, for checking even odd, the concept is that the number should be divisible by 2. So you can write number mod 2 equal to 0. Well, it is a general format. If you are using QBasic, then you will be writing mod in that in the place of percentage. And if you are using Java or C++, you will be writing equal to in place of single equal to. But that is what algorithm is. It is a language independent, means it's not specific on any programming language. So it's a general code. My condition says if the number is divisible by 2, then go to step 4. Otherwise go to step 5. That means for even we are going to step 4 and for odd we are going to step 5. So step 4 is printing even number, then jumping to step 6. And if it is odd number, then straight from the step 3 it will be going to step 5, where it will print odd number and it will go to step 6. So we are creating path over here. Okay, some steps we are jumping. If it is even, then from 3 we are jumping to 4 and then from 4 to 6. So the odd number message will not print. And if it is odd number we are checking in the step 3, then it will directly jump to step number 5 where it will print odd number. So it will skip the step number 4 in that case. And from the 5 it will go to step 6. Let's see a more complex algorithm where loop is involved. So here we have a question which is to find sum of digits of given number. So this algorithm has a total of 8 steps. Step number 1 and 8 both are same as before. Accepting a number. So we are taking input a number in num. So we use repeat for loop in algorithm. When we are writing programming, any program, let's say Java or C++ or Python or QBasic, we have specific type of loops like for, while, do while, but here we use repeat. Okay, so we don't specify for or while, we specify repeat. We just write repeat over there. Okay, so repeat step number 4 to 6. So that is the loop area from 4 to 6. Okay, so step number 4, 5, 6, these 3 steps will repeat till the number is greater than 0. Let's take an example. Suppose the number is 123. Okay, so repeat step number 4 to 6 till 123 greater than 0. Then it will do digit is equal to number mod 10. So it will take out the last digit from the number. From 123 it's checking out 3. then sum plus digit, that is 0 plus 3. Sum is not specified, we will consider it to be 0. So 0 plus 3, 3. Then number will be number by 10, that's 123 by 10. So it will lose the last digit and it will be 12. Again it will repeat automatically. Now it's 12, 12 greater than 0. So again it's 12 mod 10, the digit will be 2. Then sum is already 3, 3 plus 2, 5. Sum will be 5. Number will be 12 by 10. So now it's 1. Again it will repeat. Now it's 1, 1 greater than 0. So 1 mod 10 will be 1. And sum is already 5. 5 plus 1, 6. Number is 1, 1 by 10, 0. So again it will repeat, 0 greater than 0. Now it will leave step 4 to 6. It will jump to step 7 because the number is no longer greater than 0. Okay, I did not explain the slash and mod concept because that is a programming concept. So I am assuming that you already know that. Next is flowchart. So what is a flowchart? It's a diagrammatic representation of an algorithm, we can say. We can also say it's a graphical way of writing an algorithm. And we use different shapes in flowchart to represent different actions and commands. Okay, so these are the shapes which are used in any typical flowchart. This shape is used for start and stop. Okay, that is the first and the last step of your algorithm. Then we use formulas for that. We have this shape. Okay, then we have input output. If we are printing something, if we are accepting any value, in those steps we will be using this shape. Okay, then direction arrows are used. Okay, then we have connectors. We have on page connector, we have off page connector. So on page connector is used if we are connecting multiple direction arrows, multiple lines within the same page. And off page connector is used if we are connecting multiple pages. Sometimes what happens that our page is over and we have to continue the flowchart in the next page. In that case we use off page connector. And then we have decision box for putting conditions. When we are writing conditions like if else, then we use decision box. Please note that in flowchart, decision box is also used for placing loop conditions. Okay, that we'll see in upcoming examples. So the first example that I'm having, that is a simple flowchart which is accepting any amount and it is calculating 10% discount. So you see we have written start inside of the first shape. Okay, that is actually oval shape. There we have written start. Then we have the parallelogram shape, that is accept amount in AMT. That's AMT my variable name. Okay, and then discount equal to 10 by 100 into amount. That's a formula to calculate 10% discount. Then we are printing the discount again using parallelogram. Okay, so rectangle is for formula, parallelogram is for the input output, and oval shape is for the start and stop. Next one we have a condition. So it is flowchart to accept age of any person, then find out if the person is eligible for giving vote or not. So start, accept age, and here we place the condition box, or we say decision box. Okay, so inside of the decision box we put a condition. Okay, like age greater than equal to 18. For eligibility for giving vote we have to be at least of 18 years. So that is the condition. There is yes, there is no. So flowchart, in that when we are writing a condition box or decision box, it has one inflow, it has two outflows. So inflow is the direction from where it is coming to the decision box, and then we have outflow. One direction is yes, one direction is no. In the direction of yes we are writing the code or the statement that we want to show. If eligible for voting, so if the condition is correct, it will print eligible, and then it will go to stop. The flowchart is over. And suppose if the age which is entered is less than 18, then it will go towards no, and it will say print not eligible. It will print not eligible on the screen, and then it will stop. So this is a general flow of conditional flowcharts. The next example which I am having is a more complex example where looping is involved in that. So it is accepting marks of n students and then printing the highest marks. Okay, so first of all we will take input n, which is the number of students. After that we set I equal to 1. This is a counter variable. Okay, if you are a programmer and you are using a for or while loop, then you can understand that this is the initial value of your loop. Okay, so here I am calling it counter. Max equal to 0. If we are finding the highest marks, so we can assume the maximum to be 0, because 0 is the lowest marks that a student can get in any paper, right? So if I take max equal to 0, it's fine for initial value. Then this is the on page connector. See, I have to connect 3 lines together. I mean, this line and this line both are going towards the decision box over here. So I am using on page connector there. Okay. And then after this initialization, it will go down to the condition if I is less than equal to n. Let's take an example. Suppose n is 5. That means the user wants 5 students marks to be checked, right? So it will start and it will come to this point. I is 1 already, so 1 is less than equal to 5. It will go in this direction. Then it will accept a marks. 1 marks it will accept. Let's say the person is entering 50. The user is entering 50. Then it will check if 50 is greater than max. You have taken already max 0. So 50 is greater than 0. Condition correct. It will do what? It will change the max. So max will change to 50. Again it will do I plus 1. So the counter will increase. Now I has become 2. Check again. 2 less than equal to 5. Yes. Again take a marks. Let's say you give 25. So now 25 is greater than max, which is 50 now. So 25 is greater than 50. False. So it will go towards no. Max will not change. It will bypass that. And I will change to 3. Then again check 3 less than equal to 5. Yes. Accept a marks. Let's say 80. So your previous highest was 50. Now you got 80. So 80 greater than 50. Yes. So it will change the max to 80. Then I will be 4. Again I will be 5. So this way it will repeat in this region for 5 times. After that I will become 6 automatically, right? So when I will become 6, so 6 less than equal to 5 cannot be. Then it will go to no and it will print the max. Means at that time the value which is stored in the max variable. Okay, if it is 80 then 80 it will be. So it will print 80 over there. Okay, and then it will stop. This way you can construct any flowchart for questions where loops are involved. Thank you everyone for watching this video.